2022, Kentito made his solo debut with Mayonaka no Love. That would be the stepping stone for what was Hanabi, Kentito's first EP released early in 2023 and instantly one of the candidates for Album of the Year. I'm not even kidding. So in this episode, let's talk about this beautiful neon-lit album that is Hanabi. Let's kick off this episode of SEIYUU Lounge. Welcome to SEIYUU Lounge. I am your host Vanessa, and today we are going to talk about Kentito's Hanabi. This is his first EP. Hanabi is one of those albums that I was expecting to be interesting, but since it was a first ever for Kentito, I was thinking that usually the first CD and the first single are safe bets. You usually have a lot of care about not doing something drastic, too different or too strange to, well, basically to avoid alienating people. You want to gather as much attention as possible, good attention of course, to your music, and you do not want to make it too niche, otherwise people will not want to check it or will check it but won't become fans. And at the same time you want to still be yourself or show a little bit of your colors. Of course, for you, if you do not know that, Kentito has a band with Yoshiki Nakajima, UMake, and is the composer for the band as well as the vocalist and the guitarist. He's a multi-instrumentalist. He plays a lot of instruments for UMake. UMake is a self-produced band, so they really create their music and their lyrics, and of course the production is really low budget but with a really high quality, surprisingly so. And Kentito is the pillar or the core for UMake as he creates the music, so he has a lot of sensibility when it comes to creating music and performing. At the same time, he was previous to become a voice actor, he was actually a Vocaloid producer. He actually produced music as a Vocaloid. He didn't perform it, but he actually produced it. He's got that clout, he's got that experience, and he's really, really talented if you've checked his performances and music up until now. So, when Kentito made his solo debut with Mayonaka no Love, the pre-release single that was released in 2022, I was head over heels about it. Because this is all about city pop. Some of you may say, but what is city pop? What are you talking about, Vanessa? City pop is more than a music genre. It is a movement in Japan, in the music scene, in which the Japanese artists at that time were basically incorporating hits and bobs from 70s funk music and disco as well, to 80s pop, and a little bit of everything in there, going on from funk to R&B, gospel, pop. Everything was in there. Everything that was commercially welcomed, something that was really pleasing to the ears. And the music had a lot of groove because of the bass lines were massive, a big inspiration from funk and disco music. And the synths, which were basically a trademark of almost all the music in the 80s, were also really there. And in Japan, when they were within that time of the bubble, Japan was really prosperous and they had all that happiness about their music, still with a little bit of nostalgia. And in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, city pop was a big, big thing. And it was a sub-music genre, a movement in some way, in which the music was really dreamy, but at the same time stylish and melancholic or nostalgic in some way. So you had that sense of a wide soundscape with neon lights here and there, all the fun and games, all the romance, all the experiences going on in there, but also a little bit of loneliness and a little bit of nostalgia going on in there. So it is a really complex, if we actually take a little bit of time to analyze it, it is a really complex, let's say, music genre. city pop music, as the name says, as pop at its core. So with that in mind, with funk and pop at the same time, Kentito crafted Hanabi, an EP that is all about city pop music, and it is absolutely divine. The mini album kicks off with Sugar. It's easily one of the happiest and warmest songs I've ever heard. It is so cozy and so hopeful that it actually serves as a really good starting point for an EP, a first ever experience for Kentito. So when I was listening to it, I always felt that this song felt so well. It really sounded perfect for the opening for the album. You get to see a little bit of his influences with pop rock. There are a lot of guitars going on in there, and the song sounds a bit calmer than you would have expected, at least for city pop music. And this is not necessarily a city pop song. This is the intro to what is going to become the city pop core to this EP. But Hanabi has this beautiful thing going on in here with Sugar, as this is a song made to put a smile on your face, and especially when that chorus kicks in and the dynamic changes completely, you are shown a beautiful soundscape, a wide soundscape in which anything and everything can happen, and you have a lot of possibilities. It is hopeful, it is filled with ambition and excitement for what's to come, and I feel that these are really good feelings to start off a CD with. The instrumental is really tasteful to listen to, so no complaints here. As soon as I heard Sugar, I knew, well, we are starting on the right foot. Let's see if the rest of the EP keeps up. And then Hidamari kicks in. Hidamari is really all about its emotional side, I should say. This is more about R&B music, and it is another side of city pop music, but in this case quieter, more emotional, more focused on the vocals, which is something that I love about R&B music, is that the vocals are a massive focus. You have the sweetness going on in Kentito's vocals, going alongside the bittersweet piano melody, and it is so much like a lullaby. It feels like it. Then you have something that I love a whole lot on the vocal end, is that Kentito has the skill to actually pull off high notes, flourishes, ad-libs, anything you could ask him, and he does a lot of that going on in the verses. However, when the chorus kicks in, the focus changes almost completely, or it shows a completely different side to this song. And yet again, it is hopeful, it is exciting, it is made once again to put a smile on your face. So you have that sort of melancholy going on in the verses, albeit with a lot of warmth and passion, or I should say warmth and care going on in the verses. And then you have that excitement, that intensity in the chorus, with the guitars kicking in and everything opening in the instrumental, without the instrumental being as cozy and close to you as it is in the verses, and really spreading out in the soundscape and making sure that you actually feel the air as you are running and everything in that soundscape. It's really good. The feeling of liberation going on in there is really fun. And then we are presented with Amber, and honestly, this is one of the best songs released in 2023 and instantly turned into my favorite song by Kentito. Hands down, I do love Mayonaka no Love, but Amber is one of those that make me appreciate even more the skills that Kentito has on the vocal end. He's a really good singer, despite people not actually paying that much attention to him, which is a pity. And in this case, you get to listen to him relaxed in a mature concept and setting, carefully delivering the performance to you, adding flourishes, ad-libs, high notes, falsetto. He is doing a little bit of everything going on in there, and the song is so groovy. Of course, another reason why I love this song a whole lot is because Zakbi, who has been working with Anthos in the Hanadol franchise and more closely with Kentito as Lihito, has lent his talents to compose the song for Kentito, and basically help in the vocal direction for this performance. As such, and if you know that, ZachB is really awesome as a composer and really as a vocal director, because he likes to create music or even lyrics that challenge the singer to deliver the best that they have. And he really knows how to tap into those singers that are really good, and he can make them sound even better. And this is something that I really appreciate about ZachB, and having him collaborating with Kentito yet again was something that arrived at the best time. So this chorus is something that I would love to listen to without an end, really without an end. I am talking or really recording this episode as I am listening to the song in the background, and it's really hard for me to keep my conversation going without any pauses for me to appreciate these ad-libs and riffing going on in the background as the song is coming to a close. So this is a really good song, and the outro is well worth your time as he's doing amazing things on the vocal end in there. Honestly, one of the highlights in 2023, for me one of the best songs in 2023. I don't know about you, but for me it was one of the best. I love singers that really know how to control their vocals to the maximum. You know, and you notice that he is in full control of what he's doing. He knows what he can do, he knows what he can achieve, and even how much he can pull his vocals off in here or take them to the maximum to deliver a performance that is amazing. In this case, he's actually doing everything, which some is quite complicated and complex to deliver. It is almost effortless, at least sounds effortless, which is amazing. So I do love Amber a whole lot, and well, do check it if you can. And to wrap up this CD, of course, it's Mayonaka no Love. This is a song that I absolutely adore. This was a song that made me really go, yes! Finally, we have another city pop artist out there, and this one is actually insanely mature and not afraid to be a bit more, I should say, alluring in the way they approach city pop, which is to say almost like 80s city pop. Romantic, with a bit of allure and a lot of class going on in there. As soon as I listened to Kentito performing Mayonaka no Love, I was really sure that first, we have a massive bass line in here. Then, Kentito's voice is a perfect match for city pop music. I was not really imagining that when he announced his solo debut. I thought, well, it is going to be pop rock like he did with You Make. He's not going to change that much. He's only going to be himself in front of the mic, instead of being mindful that he has another person sharing the stage with him, like it happens with You Make. But now, in this case, you actually change the vibe completely, and it is mature, of course, to fit his vibe, but mature not in the sense of sexy, it's mature in the sense of experience. You can feel it, and at the same time, not only experience in life, but also experience in music. You can see that there is a different sensibility going on in here. It is a different side to Kentito. It is a side that we, at least I hope, it is a side that feels more personal, and it is more personal when it comes to his tastes and even to the compositions that he creates or the lyrics that he may write. In this case, Mayonaka no Love appeared out of nowhere for me. I was expecting something else, and I fell in love instantly with it. I took some time to review the song, but as soon as I reviewed it, I was thinking, what the hell? Why did I let this song be reviewed so late? Because this is massive. And honestly, this is a song that I can put playing in the background and I can do my whole day with that groovy vibe going on in there. This is a massive bass line going on in there. It has an elegance that I only find, for example, in Makoto Furukawa's take on jazz music, and finding it here with Kentito, who I wasn't expecting would tackle this type of music, and especially with city pop, which is a sub-music genre or a music genre that is not usually that loved, was a big surprise, but a really good surprise. Honestly, I would love for more male seiyuu artists to actually do something as, let's say, with quotation marks, risky, as Kentito did with choosing city pop music as the music genre to kick off his career with, because just look at Kotaro Nishiyama, he didn't have that much luck with that music genre. When you choose a music genre that is really awesome and takes a lot of inspiration from the past, in this case the 70s and 80s, and most of your fans were actually born in the late 90s, it gets a really tricky when an artist, or a SEIYUU artist in this case, arrives and says, well, I'm going to perform this music genre, and their fans are like, what the hell, what is this? And it is tricky, basically, because the most vocal fans are usually the younger ones, and the younger ones usually are not that receptive to older, let's say, with quotation marks again, older music, or music from before they were born. So, of course, this is a generalization, and there are many fans that are young and actually appreciate this music and find it really interesting to revisit the past, or for in their case to visit the past. In my case is to revisit. Born in the 90s and really grew up listening to music from the 70s and 80s, so that was my daily diet of music. So to find that in there was actually more nostalgic than anything else. It made me appreciate music more, and to think at the same time that I wish the music scene hadn't changed so much to the point that usually, and nowadays especially, pop music is really underwhelming. It is all the same. There's barely any differentiation unless a SEIYUU artist or a 2D group says that they are going to do something disruptive or something new. You usually get more of the same. So in some way, and really talking about music in general, it really pains me to see that the music industry, has changed so much to the point that pop music nowadays is not that enjoyable to listen to. But if I revisit the 80s, for example, I do enjoy rock music a whole lot. If you follow this podcast, you do know that I love rock music. It is my favorite music genre. But if I go and revisit the 80s, some of my favorite artists are pop artists. So when I say that I do not enjoy pop music, it's more the pop that usually is created, the generic pop that is so common for male SEIYUU artists and 2D groups, more so than pop itself, the pop from the 80s, which is also cheesy in some cases, but there were really awesome ideas going on in there, really awesome performances that focused more on the voice and less on the instrumental. More instrumentals that were about having organic instruments more so than anything created by a computer. So it makes a whole lot of difference for me when it comes to pop music. In this case, I'm already on a big tangent, but in this case, Hanabi provided me that nostalgia from listening to music from the 80s when I was young, and at the same time made me realize that I really wished more SEIYUU artists actually tried new things instead of following the herd. I want disruptive artists like Makoto Furukawa with jazz music, Kotaro Nishiyama with citypop, Soma Saito with shoegaze rock, and even tapping into weird, almost psychedelic styles of rock. I want SEIYUU artists to actually do that. I want SEIYUU artists like Shotaro Morikubo doing heavy rock and not being afraid to do so, really being themselves behind the mic. I doubt that many male SEIYUU artists actually like the music they are performing. They end up enjoying it, but do they actually like it? All in all, Kentito's Hanabi is an EP that really set Kentito on a really good path. And I'm really hopeful that the next CDs that he releases, even after he has released a lot of digital singles, I hope that he actually in 2024 ends up releasing another EP or a new album, and he can show everyone just how amazing he is, first as a singer and then as a singer-songwriter, because he's a really awesome songwriter and he does really create awesome music, and music with really intricate things going on in there that people do not appreciate as much, because you make the band to whom he actually creates music, or for whom he creates music, is not really that popular, but is actually amazing and creates really interesting compositions. I just feel that it needs more love, and to see Hanabi actually getting some of that love that he deserves for all his hard work was really awesome. I believe he deserves much more given the talent that he has. Well, this was everything I had and more about Kentito's Hanabi. This is an album that made me reminisce about the past, be quite nostalgic about how good the pop music was in the 80s and even in the 70s. And now, let's say in the 80s, because the 80s were iconic and the 70s were a bit of a mess. They felt more like people were trying to figure out what they wanted to do, and the 80s were really the golden age of pop music, and still is the golden age of pop music, despite what other people may say. At least for me, it is. Talking about Kentitos, Hanabi is something that I wanted to do for a long time. I know that I talked about it quite extensively in a monthly review episode on the THTFHQ's YouTube channel, but I felt that it wasn't enough and I only talked about it quite superficially. In this case, you got me talking about this CD for a lot of time, a CD that I appreciate a whole lot, a CD that is still quite niche even among fans of male SEIYUU artists, which is something that really baffles me. And, well, it's my time to say that if you are a person that actually appreciates good music, really good bass lines, not overwhelming ones, but really good to the point that make you want to dance along, and you enjoy voices that are really melodic, that show a lot of control and quality, and that put a smile on your face, Kentitos Hanabi is really a CD that you must check. This is not an overly pop album, and it is also not an overly city pop album. It has a lot of city pop in here, actually half of the EP, but there's much more to it. There is a different side to Kentito in here that deserves all your attention. And even if you are not a fan of Kentito, or this may be your first time actually coming across this CD and you actually came across this sort of review, I do fully recommend you to listen to it again and appreciate it a lot more, because this is a CD well worth your time. So it is time for me to actually return to the script. So tell me, which was the song that you enjoyed the most in this CD, if you actually enjoyed this CD, and why? Let me know in the comments on YouTube and on Spotify. And remember, leave your comments as complex or as simple as they may be, and you can be featured on upcoming episodes of SEIYUU Lounge. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss the Hand That Feeds HQ's weekly male SEIYUU and music-related content, hit the subscribe button. If you are listening to this episode on a podcast listening platform, please consider following the podcast and leaving a review. Leaving a review is really simple and helps other people find this podcast and fall in love with male SEIYUU artists and 2D groups. I'll return next week with another episode of SEIYUU Lounge. Thank you for listening and see you guys around.